welcome back to Tales from the PowerAge. Evening, guys. Hope you're well.
Hello, everyone. You all right?
Yeah, all good. So tonight we are taking you back 20 years or 21 years in part, back to the darkness and Permission to Land. Great British band. They are officially Lowestoft's finest. So that's actually in Suffolk, not Norfolk, believe it or not. So there's a bit of geography there for you if you didn't know that. Let's go on to the first slide, Gav, and let's have a talk through, I guess, how you got into them, because it was a little bit, maybe a little bit different to some of the other bands you've got into in the past.
Yeah, this was a proper case of finding a band through a support slot. You know, good old-fashioned way of finding a band. And I know we always try and support bands, but it's difficult sometimes when there's a bar. But in this case, the mighty Wildhearts, who you may or may not know, I'm a big fan. Certainly was back in the day when my band supported them once. So I was following them on and on, every gig, every London gig for sure. And then Darkness popped up supporting them at the Astoria. So there's the ticket, still got it. Doesn't mention the Darkness on the ticket, but it was 3rd of October 2002. And I remember it really well, a bit like when we saw Massive Wagon supporting them, actually, thinking, my God, this band are going places. And they were so kind of arrogant, but in a funny way, in a good way. They even did the Justin on the shoulders of a roadie round the crowd, doing a solo, Angus Young style. And you thought, you've got to have some brass balls to be a support band doing that, but it was done in such a funny way that everybody instantly warmed to it, and they were so good. They were so AC/DC-ish, but with a kind of obviously catchy songs and silly vocals that I think they went down a storm. And in fact, this was the Wildhearts era, which I should put there, which was a good era for the band. And actually at roughly the same time, they're obviously mates, because Justin played on the album that came from. So no, he didn't play, he sang backing vocals.
Fantastic. And I can see that is that signed, the single on the picture? Is that yours, Gav? Have you got that one too, or is that?
No, that's just a poster that I grabbed from the gig, because it actually said the Darkness on it. But yeah, they were effectively a London band. I know they were from Lowestoft, but they parked themselves in Camden, so I think they managed to jump on lots of support bands, lots of support slots, and they were just supporting everybody and growing and growing and growing, right up to the fact that they managed to sell out the Astoria a matter of months later without a record deal.
Brilliant, fantastic,
pretty incredible.
Great venue too. So, do you want to take us to the next slide? And these were the singles. So, Gav, I'm going to come to you first, and then Jam, I'll come to you on the B sides if that's all right. So, Gav, do you want to just give us a run?
The first one I didn't even know existed, to be honest. I think it was an indie, just an independent label. CDs, again, people at this time, very, very little vinyl was around. So when I did eventually start buying the singles, they were all CD singles. So I don't know where they are, but I haven't got them anymore. Not all of them anyway. So yeah, the first one we can almost discount because it was kind of under everybody's radar, certainly under mine. And then the second one, which was Get Your Hands Off My Woman, came out before the album. But as we will talk about on this pod, the B-sides were amazing. They just had, it was good value in itself. They did a clean version of Get Your Hands Off My Woman, which instead of the C word, they said coconut, which is funny in itself. And The Best of Me is a classic song, as Jam will attest.
What did they do for MF then? Mother Funster or something like that? Can you remember?
I don't know. I've got it on my iPod because I burnt it. Put it down in the comments.
Yeah, put it down afterwards.
I didn't have these two singles. I had the singles that came later. I didn't have these.
Go to them, right?
Yeah, I didn't have these two. But here we go. So I got this CD single. I remember listening to the cover and thinking, oh my gosh, thanks. But yeah, again, the B-sides on these, Bareback is an absolute joyous DC-esque run through, isn't it, Gav? It's
instrumental, isn't it?
Yeah, and
they come onto it. It's just like pure AC/DC riff mania, and they just run around the stage before anyone even sings a word. It's brilliant.
Yeah. No, it is, and as we go through the other singles, some of the B-sides, I've always spoken to Gav about this, and I've always just said the B-sides of the CD singles. I never thoroughly understood why they put the output was so much so early. We're going to come on to their record soon, and I just wonder if they could have been holding any of this back for perhaps the second album. But we'll come on to that, I think, when we see the later things.
Okay, so here's the album which landed, excuse the pun, in July 2003, so 20 years ago, which is amazing. Caps, I think you bought the album as well, and around that time, didn't you?
Yeah, I got it when it came out. Yeah, I'd heard Growing on Me on Radio 1 back in the days when I used to listen to Radio 1.
Really?
And, and I thought this is immense. I haven't heard anything like this for ages, and you really hadn't, really. In 2003, there was nothing about like this, and I thought, yeah, this band are going to go places. That song, the song still stands up today. It's a fantastic song. The riff in that song is brilliant, and the outro guitar solo is still one of Justin's best work, in my opinion. Brilliant.
Well, apparently they had the album recorded before they found a record company, which turned out to be a smart move. They were kind of glorified demos, really, that they'd done with a friend of theirs. So they didn't have all the record company influence trying to, turn them into a different band or push them in a different direction. So they were just literally selling the album to record companies. And I think there were two big players interested. Most of them weren't interested because it was seemed to be such a dated look and style, but they got interest from Sony, I think, and Atlantic, and I think they decided to go with Atlantic basically because it's AC/DC's label, and they're just such massive AC/DC fans that they thought, well, they can't go wrong with that, and and they kept the label, the classic AC/DC label. Have you got the CD there, boy? There we go.
There you go.
And instead of having a custom label that they could have had, they wanted just the classic Atlantic label. I know there's different labels for AC/DC around the world, but that's the one we had over in the UK. So that's the one that Justin knew, and it floated his boat. But I think most people would have bought this on CD. I don't even know if there was a vinyl out of the gate when it was new.
I don't think there was, Gav. I got it on CD. So.
No, because I got the CD as well, and it's still got the stickers on it from being new.
Yeah, like parental advisory sticker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Again, the thing that this brings up for me as well, though, Gav, it was a tricky time, wasn't it? 2003, to have a rock record like a rock CD coming out in this way. As you said, that there wasn't an influence. They weren't being influenced as to what to include on this album, but they self-selected. I mean, the metal that comes through in Get Your Hands Off My Woman and Black Shuck is just pure DC-driven vibe. It's superb. But the fact they had pop songs for me, Friday night, I had 4 kids. They were little ones at this age. I couldn't play Get Your Hands Off My Woman in front of them. There's certain records I couldn't play. I couldn't play any Marilyn Manson. There was certain stuff that didn't get played out loud. But we did a lot of karaoke, and I had karaoke tracks. And Friday Night was one of the songs that was tripped out by us, me and my kids.
Fantastic song.
You still hear it on the radio now, don't you?
Yeah, it's brilliant, and it's so radio friendly, but it's still so rocky. And that's I think why this record has stood the test of time as well, because it's got so much. I Believe in a Thing Called Love was stratospheric. It was massive, and the great thing with that, I think, is that it garnered all some people hated it and said, "What's that? What's the vocal?" That didn't like the vocals. Some of our friends couldn't get their head around it. It was Marmite. You either love
Marmite vocal, definitely. I love it.
I love it. Absolutely. It was a breath of fresh air. And the way it came through, especially on this record with all the makeup of the different songs put together in a fantastic running order.
That's a good point, because they do lead into each other sometimes, don't they?
Yeah.
And Justin was writing commercials or something before this?
Yeah, we should have said that, actually. He had a publishing contract before he was a music writer. He was a jingles writer for TV adverts and radio adverts and stuff. So he already had an understanding of the business, if you like, because he already had that deal. I think he did an IKEA advert or something along those lines. I haven't dug into it, but you know, the guy obviously knows his way around a catchy tune, because that's all a jingle is.
So if anyone does know who what adverts he'd done or did, or Justin, if you want to share that, please just put like in the comments and just let us know what it was. That's not personally interested.
I was going to say, Justin is watching this. I know I for one, we might as well keep his pod. I love his pod. I think
we all subscribe to it, don't we?
Yeah, we all subscribe to Justin's rides again. He comes out with some. If you're watching this and you don't, I would happily send you his way, because he comes up with some cracking stuff. He knows his music inside out, the theory and everything. There's a couple of great visits of some great shows he's done. He had one with the what's the lady's name? Charismatic voice. Love that. So, there's lots of crossovers and sorry. If Justin is watching,
Rick Beato as well.
The Rick Beato one. Yeah, again, a great one if you're subscribing.
Okay, so they're on a meteoric rise. The album was released in July, and you know what might seem quite odd now, they then managed to get themselves onto a show with Robbie Williams. Now, Robbie Williams at the time was absolutely massive, so he'd obviously left Take That, and had taken just general music by storm. He'd released 2 or 3 really good albums that had got really great critical acclaim. He was being photographed with Oasis all the time in and around Glastonbury, and he played 3 nights or 3 days at Knebworth, and somehow the Darkness found themselves on the bill. And I
think they were first on the bill, but
they were. And funnily enough, this catapulted them from the Astoria to pretty big players in the business. So any memories from that at that time? Jam, can you remember that at all?
Only that they played it. I wasn't at any of those gigs. I could have been, because my sister. I've been to plenty of Robbie Williams gigs in the past with my sister. Big fan of his. But no, I wasn't there. But I know that as we've been talking, that really did push them to the forefront, didn't it? And set them up for their winter tour off the back of that.
Yeah, and I guess appealing to the kind of people that buy chart singles as well.
Yeah,
which is, you know, and there's some of it's on YouTube. I don't think all of it is, but you know, he's his usual jovial self and kind of giving the crowd some jip, like asking if they're going to buy the album, who's going to buy the album, and whoever isn't going to buy the album are wrong, and all this kind of stuff. You know, and just that kind of sense of humor is, you know, obviously endearing, and it's, I guess, similar to Robbie's, if you like. You know, it's a good way of approaching it.
So it was quite a good fit for them. So amazing they managed to get on it, and then things started to happen for them quite quickly, didn't it? So, Gav, I'll go to the single, and I think probably everybody knows this. So
this is the big one, isn't it? This is what kind of maybe on the back of the Robbie shows, on the back of it being one of the strongest singles songs on the album. A hit single with 3 guitar solos. I know that Justin's proud of that. It doesn't happen very often, does it? There's no solos anymore. And I think it went to number 2 in the charts. So, and I think the album went to number 2 as well, and then to number 1. So they were massive, you know, they were completely on top of the world in this year. But yeah, this single was released on a few different formats. CD single, obviously, and then a picture disc.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
I haven't seen that before.
Haven't you? Okay,
No.
Still got the price on it. Got to love HMV.
Well, we can't see it though, mate. What is it? What's the price?
$1.99.
Hey.
I would show you the other side, but it's still
value.
sealed. It's still sealed, so I couldn't help you with that. But yeah. And Jam, the B-side, Making Out.
Making Out, physical, yeah, both of them. They're cracking. They're really great tunes. Making Out gets that. I still find it amazing. Yeah, but I mean, it might be a good time. Yeah, as far as that's concerned, yeah. And Physical Sex, that's fun.
Yeah, they've got a certain lyrical theme, haven't they?
Unlike
I believe
the Making Out lyric is brilliant.
Wrapped up with Making Out and Physical Sex. It's like, we've landed.
Okay.
I think I'll take off my sweater was a a lyric and making it.
You imagine him singing. That's just so brilliant.
So
Yeah,
the,
the point is that they had plenty of songs, you know, and it is kind of the classic cliche of a band that's been working and writing and touring for maybe 2 years up until the point of the first album. They've got millions of songs, and then maybe regrettably,
I mean, it's always my belief. All those songs, all those tracks going on, the B-sides, all the CD singles that were coming out over that period, and it feels very much like they held nothing back. I mean, they were very driven. They may have felt, but I mean, the next record, One Way Ticket, it could have done with a few of these tunes on it. I think.
Yeah, I never really thought about that, but you're right.
I don't know what you boys think.
I think they had the classic album.
Yeah, it was
second album
right
syndrome,
release.
isn't it?
Yeah.
When they have to write everything fresh, but if they could have kept a couple back, maybe they did. We don't know everything, you know.
Exactly. Great shout. It'd be great one day, you know, if ever you're having a chat with Justin, I'm sure he's probably been asked that at some stage, or maybe not. That'd be a great question, wouldn't it, to know the answer to, you know, how.
I know he's not a fan of that second album, and that didn't,
it
didn't help his state of mind, I don't think.
No.
And the video. Sorry, Gav, go on.
He didn't like touring it because he wasn't proud of the songs, apparently.
Yeah. Well, look, the video for this single was everywhere, right? So that big spaceship, the big thumbs up, which was
that's a good point. The videos for all of these were brilliant, weren't they?
Great fun, and really fit the band well. Yeah. So they supported Robbie Williams in August, released a single which had shot to number 2 in September. And in October, they played the famous, I always call it Hammersmith Odeon, but it was the Carlin Apollo Hammersmith. So Jam and Gav went. So Jam, I know you've got quite a few memories from the night. So what comes to mind?
Well, it's my favourite time of the year. Weather-wise, it's atrocious, but metal-wise, gig-wise, they all come out. The festivals are finished. We've all been buying our tickets all throughout the year, waiting, come on, hurry up, festivals end. I want to be indoors. I want to go to the bar. I want to see the bands. So yeah, Hammy, Gav and I had tickets. I had my ticket lined up. The journey to this one proved a little bit difficult. I was working just outside London, so it wasn't going to be too bad. And then a meeting got called. I was working as a manager of a bank at the time, and a meeting got called to be held at my branch. And I was like, whoa. I said to my boss, my area manager, I said, hey, I'm busy that night. I can't do it. He said, the regional pods, everyone's coming. It's a big thing. Having it there, you're the closest to London on the edge there. I said, we've got to have it at yours. I said, well, I can't miss the darkness. He said, oh, God. He said, we'll be finished way before you need to leave for that. I said, are you sure? He said, yeah. We'll all be out by 6. Okay. Well, if we're not, I have to go. He said, yeah, if we're not, just slide out quietly out the back. Give me your keys now. He said, no, I'll lock up. So, okay, if you're sure. He said, yeah, no problem. The meeting started, and it went on, and it went on, and it went on. And it got to 6. I was like, oh, God, I can't. I thought, I've got to go to the darkness. I can't miss this. So I tried getting up. He says, my branch. And I start trying to sidle out by the door. And my boss sees me at the back of the room and goes, Stuart. I said, all right, everybody. Stuart, who's kindly hosting this event for us tonight, he's trying to sneak out the back. And I went, oh. What are you doing this to me? He said, you're going to a gig, aren't you, Stuart? I said, yes, I am. He said, is it another one of you? Is it another heavy metal? A heavy metal gig? I remember saying, yeah. You're going to see. And I was going, I'm going to see the darkness. And everyone's going, people are looking at you. I said, the darkness, they're massive. How can you not know who they are? Then I'm like, hold on, stop. I said, yeah, thank you very much indeed. I do need to leave. Thank you very much indeed. And then off I went. The looks from my regional manager was hilarious. He's like, where's that chap go? Where's he going? What's he doing? He's going to a heavy metal gig. I was going, yeah. And I left. I left my branch. Luckily, my boss did look up correctly at the end of the night and dropped the keys home to me later. No, but it's all good. And it was well worth it because I met up with Gav. Met up at Hammy-O.
May have missed the support bands. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think I was right. I didn't make the support.
Bit late, yeah.
It's
good to have a custom ticket.
I don't think they went anywhere, so you probably didn't miss much.
Yeah.
Sorry, 3 inches of blood if you're looking.
Yeah.
But yeah, then we settled down and they rocked the place, didn't they, Gav?
They were so brilliant. They were meant to be there. You know, it was that kind of vibe. It's such comfort and assurance in the fact that they knew what they were doing, and they were just having a great time playing a famous venue like that. It's such a great venue anyway. But yeah, the set list comes down to the fact that they played everything they'd ever written, probably, to fill out the hour and a half. They even did a cover. They did a Radiohead cover as well, which I think they put on an album or a B-side later on. I know they've recorded it properly in the studio. The only one that I didn't recognise when I pulled this up was Dune Patrol, but I think that's another instrumental, like Bareback. So probably never made it onto a record or anything. But yeah, what a set! Fantastic.
We spent a lot of time going to a lot of gigs. When you check out our pods, you'll see a lot of gigs. We spent a lot of time at Hammersmith Odeon. It's been called a lot of different things. We'll just keep calling it Hammersmith Odeon. And when Hammersmith Odeon's packed and there's a band that are fresh and going for it, there was nowhere else like it. But it the building moved with you as well. It was a real
great place,
everything about it. And when you were in the bar, the sound was amazing that came from it. That's the sort of band you have to be in a bar. It was just everything about the place just reeked of awesome.
And you've got the classic marquee at the front, you know, where they put the band name, you know, the No Sleep to Hammersmith, etc.
Yeah,
you know,
everybody has the picture outside.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah,
it's so iconic. And this was one of those nights. I remember this because obviously this is way after a lot of the heyday rock shows that happened there. This had that feel, Gav, didn't it? Do you remember? It really did rock. Yeah. This is a band that they were supporting the Wildies at the Astoria. What, the year before? Was that 2002? The year before?
Yeah, exactly a year before.
The year before. They're supporting at the Astoria. Again, a great venue. But this is Hammersmith. This is Hammersmith Odeon, and they really rocked it out. Didn't they? It's amazing.
They could have done.
It just shows if you're good and you get yourself in front of a lot of people, you can move yourself forward pretty quickly. So
the weird thing about this is if you look up their tour dates, they did a load of other headlines around London. They couldn't get enough of playing to big audiences. So we think this was like the traditional end of a tour type situation. It wasn't. They did loads of other biggies, you know, around the same time, but just because they were just growing and growing and growing, and they just thought, well, let's make hay while the sun shines, I guess.
Yeah. And look, if anyone out there saw The Darkness around this time or on this tour in particular, or any of those dates that we talked about, please join in. Give us the comments. Tell us where you were. Tell us your memories, and tell us how you got into The Darkness in the first place. So I think they released a couple more singles after this. That's what followed.
Yeah, I guess.
There's a very famous Christmas song there.
Yeah, so this was another single, but this time not off the album and not recorded at the same time as the album. So obviously everybody knows this, and they probably made a sweet penny from the repeats every Christmas ever since, because it is one of those Christmas songs that has endured. So you know, and I still love it. I think it's brilliant. I absolutely love the video for this one as well. It's proper. They managed to do a Slade, didn't they? They managed to do a modern song, but with the kind of the Slade feel to it, the timeless feel of it. And I think everybody in the UK understands what a Christmas rock single should be. And this was everything.
And so many bands, so many bands have tried to write themselves a pension, like Noddy and the Boys did. And it's impossible, because so many have tried and so many have obviously failed for a song to stand the test of time.
And when you see this in December, and this they'll be doing this. I'm sure this will be the last song. It was when I last saw them in December. It was brilliant. It just fits perfectly with that time of year, and that's what everybody's there for. It's fantastic. Works really, really well. Great song. And the other.
Actually, before we leave, I've got the picture disc.
Ah, there you go. Excellent.
Shaped picture disc, no less.
Yeah.
Sealed again.
Very good.
And the thing about this one, which is quite telling, is they've basically been told, right, you know, you've got the budget, you've got everything you need. What do you want to do? And so you can tick off. You can imagine them having a band meeting and going, well, we haven't recorded at the Abbey Road Studios. Okay, well, we'll record at Abbey Road Studios. We want to work with a big name producer. Okay, Bob Ezrin. the guy did Pink Floyd and Kiss the Elder and a bunch of other, huge albums. So he produced this single. Yeah, who's my favourite artist? Oh, let's get the guy who did the Thin Lizzy album covers, Jim Fitzpatrick. So they were just going tick, 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 all the cool stuff they wanted to do when they were kids. And I love that about them. They were brilliant. And then the next album was produced by Queen's producer. So they just carried on doing, Roy Thomas Baker.
I love the fact it's got an octopus and a robot, which have got literally nothing to do with Christmas. Brilliant.
Yeah, it really is good.
They're thoroughly living the dream, and at the time,
exactly.
they're partying on properly as well.
Went to number 2.
Yeah.
Number 2 single. Do you know what kept it off number 1?
No
idea.
Mad World. Do you remember when that cover?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Kept it off number 1.
Well,
yeah.
I saw a band playing that this afternoon. Ironically, isn't that weird? Yeah. Well,
I was trying to remember the name of the film that came from.
Donnie Darko.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then they did Love Is Only a Feeling, which again came from the album. And again, picture disc.
The video on top of a mountain, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a very Bon Jovi style video, wasn't it? So yeah, I managed to keep those, thank God.
Good, well done. So that brings us to the 20th year anniversary, which I guess is coming up. Jam, did you have something to say before we move on to this?
No, then that was into 2004, and then they cleaned up at the Brits, didn't they? Which was our American friends that are watching this may not be aware, but every year there's a industry organised Brit Awards and record industry chiefs. If you do well at that, it's going to shift a shed load of units, and they did well at that. They won. I know they got best British group, and I think best British rock act, obviously. But that really did seal that period of time for them, which they could do no wrong, and they smashed it out of the park. They were massive. They transcended. They went over that. They went away from just being a rock band to being the biggest band. Well, the biggest band in Britain, didn't they? So yeah.
And the album shifted a fair. I know we're going to go on to the 20th anniversary tour because that's coming up, which is completely sold out, by the way. So that's really, really exciting. But the album shifted a fair few units, and to date, I think it's been their most successful album. So everything seemed to work. Everything came into play at the right time in a very short space of time as well. So ironically, there's obviously still a thirst and hunger to go and see that album played in full again. So that's going to be really, really exciting. So just on the sales, Gav, I think you might have some numbers there in terms of the units shifted.
No, I've got the single chart positions. That's all. Yeah. Get Your Hands Off My Woman was 43, then Growing on Me 13, then Believe in a Thing Called Love was 2, Christmas was 2, and then Love Is Only a Feeling was 5.
Wow.
So, amazing numbers.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
So look, this is really exciting. I'm sure we'll be doing a Tour Talk special for this. Tickets, of course, for the Roundhouse, which is as iconic as Hammersmith Odeon or Hammersmith Apollo, I think it's called now. Really, really exciting, and we can't wait to be part of that. So really looking forward to it. Right. So that's The Darkness. I hope you enjoyed those memories, particularly from Jam and Gav, who were there. Now, a couple of things I just want to bring to your attention for those of you that have watched all the way through. Please subscribe and hit the house bell. I mean, look at that. There's no bell that you'll see that's better than that one. So please ring the bell. That would be fantastic. We're on Facebook, Tales from the PowerAge. We are on X, so no longer formerly Twitter. Tales from the PowerAge at TTFTPR. Online at Tales from the PowerAge, and of course you can buy merch from redbubble.com. So like I said, hope you enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, get involved, and thank you to all of you that have continued to subscribe each day and each week. We're absolutely over the moon with the amount of feedback and subscriptions that we're getting week in, week out. So
thank you.
Thanks, guys. See you soon. Bye.
Cheers, lads.
Thanks, everybody. Adios.